The moment you stop talking, they start wondering what you're thinking, and that's when you win, because silence makes them chase your mind while you control the game. Silence has a weight. It presses into the air, shaping how others think and act around you. Most people can't handle it. They rush to fill it, to break it, to escape it. But those who master silence know its secret. Silence is dominance. It doesn't beg to be heard. It forces others to listen. It makes people uncertain, curious, even afraid. Nietzsche saw this truth, that power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to shout. Real power is felt, not heard. When you stop talking, people start thinking. They start guessing your intentions, questioning their own. They wonder if they've said too much or if you've seen through them. Silence turns the spotlight away from noise and onto their insecurities. It makes them reveal what you never needed to ask. The mind abhors a void, so when you leave one, others rush to fill it with their confessions, their weaknesses, their truths. You just listen, you collect, you control. Silence shifts the balance of every interaction. In an argument, the one who talks the most loses control. They reveal emotion, impulse, desperation. The one who remains still, quiet, unreadable, they hold the frame. They become the center gravity bends toward. You don't have to prove your point when your calm presence makes theirs crumble. People fear silence because it exposes their lack of inner stillness. They need noise to cover their chaos. You don't. You stand in it. You own it. Silence also builds mystery, and mystery is magnetic. People are drawn to what they can't decode. They respect what they can't predict. A silent person becomes an idea, not just a body in the room. Others project onto you what they wish or fear you might be. The less you say, the more they imagine. And imagination is far more powerful than words. Words define, silence expands. It gives others space to fall into their own illusions while you quietly remain in control. But silence isn't passive. It's not retreat. It's active restraint. The art of holding your power instead of wasting it on explanation. When you stop trying to convince, you start to influence. Silence commands attention without asking for it. It doesn't argue, it declares. It doesn't defend, it observes. And that observation, that quiet awareness, becomes your edge. You see everything others miss while they drown in their own noise. People reveal themselves in their words, but you reveal yourself in your silence. The one who can sit in stillness without discomfort is dangerous, because silence demands self-control. It requires mastery over impulse, over ego. Most people speak to escape themselves. You remain quiet to meet yourself. And in that meeting you grow untouchable. Power isn't in being loud, it's in being unfazed. It's in holding your gaze when others look away. It's in the pause before you answer. The pause that makes hearts race and thoughts collide. Every second of silence is a reminder that you owe no one an explanation. You are not obligated to fill the air. You are not here to prove your worth with sound. You already carry it in your stillness. So stop talking. Watch how the world bends differently around you. Watch how their tone changes, how their confidence shifts, how their need to be heard betrays them. Silence is the oldest form of power. Subtle, invisible, and absolute. You don't demand attention, you draw it. You don't fight for control. You become it. And when you finally speak, every word will feel like thunder. Silence wins, always. Every word you speak is a window. It reveals something. Your desires, your fears, your motives, even the cracks you try to hide. People listen not just to what you say, but to what slips between your words. Every tone, every pause, every choice of phrase leaks truth. And the more you talk, the more you hand people the map to your mind. Nietzsche understood that speech is exposure. It gives others access to your inner architecture. Silence, on the other hand, builds walls. It keeps your mind concealed, your next move unknown. When you speak too much, you surrender your mystery. You show your emotions, your reasoning, your thresholds. You tell people how to reach you, how to break you, how to win you. But silence denies them that. It leaves them guessing. It makes them uncertain. They start reading into your stillness, creating stories about what you might be thinking. And those stories usually reveal more about them than about you. That's the hidden advantage. While they interpret your silence, you observe their confessions. They hand you their psychology on a silver plate just to fill the quiet. Power doesn't explain itself. It doesn't rush to justify or defend. It doesn't need to. The more you explain, the smaller your authority becomes. The truly powerful say little because they don't owe the world a performance. They let others expose their insecurities through speech, while they themselves remain beyond reach. People fear what they can't read. They can't predict a quiet mind, and that unpredictability is the foundation of control. In every interaction, words become currency. The more you spend, the less you're worth. People who talk too much try to buy understanding. They overcompensate. They try to convince, to prove, to earn approval through speech. But silence refuses that trade. Silence doesn't buy, it owns. It doesn't chase validation. It already has it. When you stop speaking unnecessarily, your energy consolidates. You stop scattering power through explanations. You keep it, you preserve it, you become centered, deliberate, composed. Every manipulator depends on reaction. They study your words, twist them, use them against you. But when you stay silent, you rob them of material. They can't read your position, can't predict your next move. You become a void. Calm, unbothered, inaccessible, the silent mind becomes a mirror in which others expose themselves. They project. They talk too much. They reveal everything you stay quiet about. And the more they talk, the more control you gain. To master silence is to master yourself. It's the art of resisting the urge to defend, to explain, to please. It's the art of withholding, of letting others drown in their own noise while you remain the still center of it all. People will try to provoke you, to make you speak, to draw out your reaction. But the more they try, the more you see their desperation. That's when you realize how much power you hold by simply not responding. There is strength in restraint. To speak less is to think more. You begin to measure your words. Each one becomes deliberate, weighted, sharp. You no longer waste energy proving your point. You make it once and it echoes. You speak rarely, but when you do, people listen. Because silence gives your words gravity. They come from depth, not impulse. Words reveal weakness. Silence conceals intent. The world will always underestimate what it cannot hear, and that is your advantage. Stay unreadable, stay unknown. Make them guess, make them talk. Let them reveal their truths while you protect yours. You don't win by speaking louder, you win by speaking last. Silence holds the blade. Words only bleed. The world today is addicted to noise. People talk to feel alive, post to feel seen, argue to feel powerful. They fill every silence because silence forces them to face themselves. And that's the one thing most can't bear. But the one who learns to live in silence, to move through chaos without reacting, becomes something different, something untouchable. The silent mind is not empty, it's fortified. It doesn't run from noise, it watches it destroy itself. When you no longer react to every word, every opinion, every emotional pull, you break the strings others use to control you. Most manipulation depends on reaction. Someone provokes you, and you flinch. They study that flinch. They see what offends you, what excites you, what makes you lose control. But when you become still, when you respond with nothing, their power dissolves. They can't find a handle to grab onto. They're left guessing, spinning, frustrated. Silence becomes your armor, your shield against the world's noise. People mistake silence for weakness. They think quiet means passive. But true silence is not submission. It's observation. It's awareness sharpened into a weapon. The silent one sees everything. The patterns, the motives, the insecurities behind the noise. You stop getting pulled into every emotional storm. You begin to see the structure of the storm itself. You start to see how predictable people are when they speak too much, how much of what they say is a cry for validation or control. The quiet mind doesn't chase that. It listens, it studies, it understands. And understanding is control, because when you know what moves others and nothing moves you, the balance shifts entirely. You stop being manipulated because you've mastered the root of manipulation, reaction. Every word meant to provoke you falls flat. Every trap loses its bait. People grow uneasy around you because their usual tricks stop working. Your silence turns their chaos back on them. In silence, You gain clarity. You see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. Their tone, their pace, their need to fill space, all of it reveals the truth they don't say out loud. And the more you listen, the more transparent they become. Meanwhile, you remain opaque, unreadable, unreachable. You stop being a player in their game. You become the one watching from above, calm, detached, dangerous. Silence trains your emotions. It forces you to confront what noise used to hide. You learn that control is not about domination, it's about composure. The ability to stay unmoved in the face of provocation is the highest form of strength. The loud demand attention, the calm command it. You stop defending yourself because you realize you never needed to. You stop reacting because you see that every reaction feeds someone else's control. When you become silent, you start to notice how loud the world truly is, how desperate it sounds, how every voice screams for acknowledgement. But you no longer need to scream. You stand in stillness and watch the noise consume itself. The silent mind is not empty, it's full of awareness, it's full of restraint, calculation and depth. You no longer waste energy explaining, arguing or proving. You simply exist, and that existence alone unsettles the shallow. People can't manipulate what they can't reach. They can't control what they can't predict, and they can't break what doesn't react. Silence makes you invisible in all the right ways and powerful in all the quiet ones. The less you reveal, the less they can use. The less you respond, the less control they have. And soon they realize they're not in charge anymore. Silence disarms, noise destroys. Those who talk endlessly are chasing something: approval, recognition, a sense that they matter. They fill the silence because silence makes them confront the truth. They're afraid of being unseen. But when you begin to pull back your words, when you choose stillness over noise, you start to see how speech has been your leash. You've been explaining yourself to people who never understood you. You've been proving your worth in conversations that never deserved your depth. And the moment you stop doing that, something shifts. You stop shrinking for the noise. You begin to expand in your silence. To speak less is to become more. Every time you choose not to respond, not to explain, not to defend, you reclaim a piece of yourself that was scattered among the opinions of others. You begin to hear your own voice, the one buried under years of trying to be heard. And that voice, quiet but steady, becomes your power. You realize that the world's loudness is just distraction, endless echoes with no substance. Your silence becomes the only thing real in a room full of noise. Silence strips away illusions. You start seeing who talks to fill emptiness and who speaks from meaning. You begin to recognize how people use words to hide their fragility. The confident don't overshare, they observe. The wise don't rush to speak, they wait. Silence becomes your filter, separating what's real from what's desperate. The more you practice it, the more you evolve beyond the need to be understood. You stop caring whether people get you. You know who you are, and that knowing is enough. In silence, the mind becomes sharper. You start thinking before you speak, feeling before you react. You realize that words, once released, can't be taken back. They can be twisted, used, misunderstood. But silence can't be used against you. It protects you from interpretation, from exposure. You start noticing that those who can't stop talking often talk themselves into weakness. They reveal what they should have kept hidden. They show too much of their hand. And the silent one, sitting still, already knows how the game will end. With every moment of restraint, you become more composed. You move slower, but with precision. You stop reacting to noise and start responding to truth. You learn that silence doesn't mean absence. It means control. It means you decide when to engage, when to walk away, when to strike. People start sensing that control. They feel your quiet presence and can't ignore it. They don't know what you're thinking, and that makes them uneasy, because the human mind fears the unknown, and your silence makes you unknowable. As you grow into your stillness, you stop chasing attention. You become the kind of person attention chases. The loud are forgettable, the quiet are remembered. Every word you eventually speak carries the weight of the silence before it. You don't need to shout to be heard. You speak less, and somehow, people listen more. You begin to realize that silence isn't emptiness. It's energy being refined, power concentrated. You're no longer scattered, you're focused, you're whole. You rise above noise by not competing with it. You let the world exhaust itself in chatter while you move in silence, deliberate, unbothered, aware. You're no longer part of the crowd, you're watching it from the mountain. Every step you take is quiet, but it shakes the ground. In the end, silence is not about muting your voice, it's about mastering it. It's about speaking only when it matters, only when your words can cut through the noise like a blade through fog. You stop explaining yourself to the world and start becoming the kind of person the world explains itself to. Speak less, become more. When you stop talking, the world starts revealing itself. You stop feeding the noise, and suddenly you can hear everything. The fear behind their confidence, the insecurity behind their smiles, the emptiness behind their words. You realize silence was never weakness. It was evolution. Because the one who controls his tongue controls his world. The one who speaks less sees more, and the one who lives in silence rules without being seen. Silence is not the absence of power. It is power, refined,